Ever feel like some dates on the calendar just a hum with a different kind of energy? June 30th, 2025 mark that one. It's not just another tick on the timeline. It's shaping up to be a genuine fork in the road, the kind that clearly sorts out who's truly tuned in from who's just going through the motions, who's consciously navigating their journey versus who's merely drifting. When spirit whispers, everything shifts on June 30th. Believe me, that's not just some clickbait headline. It's not meant to freak you out or get you hyped. It's a profound, quiet heads up, meant only for those who've actually bothered to cultivate that inner stillness where you can hear such things. Let's be real, the world out there is a constant barrage of noise, isn't it? Every single day, you're hit with 1,000 voices telling you what to buy, who to be, what to panic about, what shiny new thing to chase. This external chaos yanks you every which way, pulling you off course from the one expedition that truly counts, the one deep inside yourself. So many folks are desperately scanning the horizon for big, flashy signs, waiting for some Hollywood-style revelation, something loud and impossible to ignore. But here's the kicker: sometimes, the most powerful guidance shows up in that tiny pause between your thoughts. Sometimes, spirit speaks clearest when everything else finally shuts up, that subtle hum before the storm. It's not a threat, it's an invitation. But only those who've put in the work, training their ears, their hearts, their very discernment to recognize the ring of truth, will even grasp what's on offer. You don't hear a whisper like this with your ears, you feel it deep in your awareness. To catch it, you've got to clear out the inner clutter, the noise, the anxieties, the ego trips, the endless wanting. Why will so many miss the boat on June 30th? Because they're too busy hunting for what they want to hear, instead of actually preparing themselves to receive what's true. See, when your mind is crammed with preconceived notions, there's no room for genuine wisdom. When you're bursting with expectations, you'll walk right past the unexpected gift. This is precisely why the masters, the real spiritual warriors, train in stillness. They know that divine truth can only pour into an empty, receptive space. There's a quiet, dedicated preparation that has to happen unseen. Just like a tree doesn't just burst into bloom overnight, but silently gathers strength all winter, your spirit needs that quiet incubation for its own spring awakening. Many think transformation is like a lightning strike, bam. But the real deal, the kind that reshapes your soul, that starts way before you see any cracks on the surface. It kicks off when you start paying attention to those little nudges from within, when your habits subtly start to shift, when your thoughts get a bit clearer, when you find yourself choosing quiet reflection over pointless arguments, choosing self-discipline over easy comforts, choosing mindful presence over constant distraction. These aren't just random blips, they're the unmistakable signs that your inner world is starting to resonate with a much deeper call. And what is that call exactly? It's the quiet murmur of your destiny, the voice that's telling you get ready, get aligned, clean house. It's not yelling, because yelling is for the untrained. Whispers are for those who are truly ready to listen. When a martial arts master trains, they're not looking for applause or likes. They're silently owning their skills for a challenge no one else even sees coming. It's the exact same on your spiritual path. You're being prepped for a major shift. And this shift, it's not going to be announced on the evening news. It won't beg for your attention. It won't ask your permission. It's just going to arrive. And when it does, it won't play favorites with the loudest or the most arrogant. It will elevate those who are genuinely prepared. Picture a concert violinist who spent decades practicing, day in, day out, in solitude. The moment they step on stage, people marvel at their talent. But what's invisible is the mountain of silent, dedicated mastery. It's no different for your soul. When June 30th rolls around, the world will look on, baffled, wondering why some individuals seem to navigate it all with clarity, peace, and unshakable strength, while others crumble into confusion, fear, and sheer frustration. The answer is dead simple. Those who caught that whisper before the storm were already walking their truth. They didn't need a global crisis to tell them to wake up. They were already wide awake. The world usually demands proof before it believes anything. But the spiritual journey isn't about sitting on the sidelines waiting, it's about becoming. If you're perpetually waiting for signs, you'll never be the sign. Spirit doesn't drop a message in your lap so you can just sit there twiddling your thumbs. It gives you a message so you'll stand up, take action, and cleanse yourself of all the false identities, the pointless attachments, the dead-end goals you've been clinging to. That whisper before the storm, that's divine grace. It's your chance to get your house in order before the shift hits the fan and becomes obvious to everyone. You don't need the sky to fall to start believing. You just need to feel that pull in your soul and have the courage to follow it. This is why silence is sacred, not just because it's quiet, but because it lets you hear what the ordinary, distracted ear will always miss. Some truths can only be received by a still heart. So, the real training isn't about how loud you can shout your opinions, but how deeply you can listen. You've got to ask yourself, when the world screams, do you just react or do you pause and reflect? When fear rears its head, do you bolt or do you breathe through it? When the whole crowd stampedes in one direction, do you blindly follow or do you stand your ground and ask, why? Those who've heard the whisper get it. Life isn't about knee-jerk reactions, it's about thoughtful responses. But you can't respond with wisdom if you haven't first trained in the quiet. So many people live on autopilot, constantly reacting. Their emotions are in the driver's seat. Their fears dictate their choices. Their attachments have them on a leash. And when the storm finally hits, they're thrown into a total meltdown. They'll cry, "Why didn't anyone warn me this was coming?" But the truth is, spirit did speak, it whispered. And they were just too tuned out, too distracted by the circus to hear it. Discipline, it's about sharpening your awareness, plain and simple. It's not punishment, it's about achieving clarity. A warrior trains every single day, not because a battle is guaranteed tomorrow, but because readiness is a fundamental way of life. If you wait until the world is falling apart to start working on your spirit, you've waited way too long. Your preparation starts now, in how you greet the morning, how you speak to the people around you, how you choose to spend your precious time, how you consciously select your thoughts. These things might seem small, insignificant even, but they are the very bricks and mortar of your inner sanctuary. And when the winds of major change blow, only those temples built on a foundation of truth will remain standing. That whisper before the storm also serves as a humility check. Plenty of folks think they're ready because they've hoarded knowledge, but knowledge without actual practice is just a fancy form of arrogance. You might be able to quote all the spiritual texts, but are you living any of it? You might talk a good game about wisdom, but do you walk your talk with integrity? The whisper isn't aimed at your intellect, it's for your spirit. And the spirit only receives what it's humble enough and strong enough to carry. You absolutely must let go of the need to be seen, the desperate desire to be right all the time, the craving for applause and validation. All of that, it's just noise, and noise inevitably drowns out the quiet voice of truth. When June 30th arrives, the world will see what's been hidden in plain sight. But those who've consistently trained in silence, they won't be caught off guard. They won't freak out. They'll just take a deep breath and keep walking their path. Why? Because their direction isn't dictated by external drama, but by their deep inner alignment. Their strength doesn't come from knowing all the answers, but from consistent discipline. Their peace isn't about the absence of problems, but from the undeniable presence of their purpose. And this, my friends, is what the whisper has always been about: your purpose. The divine doesn't call you just for kicks, it calls you to elevate, to rise. But elevation demands that you release what's no longer serving you, what's weighing you down. Many are crying out for change but still desperately clinging to their old, comfortable baggage. They want transformation but refuse to surrender their comfort zones. You simply cannot rise if you're holding on to anchors. The whisper is an invitation to let go, release the fear, the guilt, the shame, the old tired stories. Only then can you become light enough to truly ascend. So listen, not with your ears but with your entire spirit. Look not just with your eyes but with your full awareness. Walk not by what you see on the surface, but by your inner compass of alignment. If you feel that tug deep inside you, that undeniable sense that something profound is shifting, that something major is about to be revealed, do not ignore it. Don't procrastinate. Start now. Come back to your breath. Recommit to your discipline. Return to your truth. The whisper before the storm isn't something you chase after, it's something you become. And those who become it won't fear the storm, they'll walk right through it as if it were a gentle breeze, because they're already being carried by a far greater wind, the wind of the divine. Real preparation doesn't kick in when the world finally spots the danger signs. It begins the moment your soul senses the shift, and what the untrained eye completely misses, the trained spirit has already felt deeply. There's a world of difference between just reacting to life's curveballs and consciously aligning with the flow of life. When someone lives in reaction mode, they're always a step behind, constantly scrambling for stability, utterly bewildered when change inevitably arrives. But when a person lives in alignment, they're never truly surprised. They might not know all the nitty-gritty details, but they've already been tipped off through their intuition, through dreams, through that persistent inner restlessness. That unease you might have been feeling lately, That gut sense that something big is on the horizon, something beyond your control, that's not just anxiety, that's your inner preparation kicking in. That's your spirit whispering, hey, it's time to get ready. What unfolds on June 30th, 2025 isn't some random out-of-the-blue event, it's a convergence, a powerful meeting point of energies, consequences, truth, and revelations that have been silently building for years, maybe even decades. The world might react like it's a sudden shock, but the wise ones know this shift has been in motion for a very long time. The universe's spiritual laws are never late, never early, they are always on time. Every choice you've made, every intention you've set, every action you've repeated, it's all been logged. The universe has never been asleep at the wheel. You might not have seen the cosmic scales adjusting, but believe me, they've always been balancing. And those scales tip on these sacred, pivotal days, not because some deity wants to punish, but because the fundamental laws of cause and effect must be fulfilled. What you plant, you will harvest. What you consistently tolerate, you eventually become. What you genuinely prepare for, you will navigate and survive. Preparation isn't a one-time event, it's a lifestyle, a way of being. The ones who are spiritually strong and centered on June 30th won't be those who suddenly wake up that morning and decide to have an epiphany. It will be those who have been steadily walking the long, often invisible, path of deep inner work. It'll be those who've been diligently disciplining their thoughts when no one was watching, those who chose kindness even when the world around them was being cruel, those who held onto their inner light when darkness seemed to offer an easier, more comfortable path. These are the souls who've been preparing, not because they were afraid of something, but because they knew. They knew deep down that when the wind fundamentally shifts, you'd better already have your feet firmly planted. You can't be fumbling around trying to learn how to stand when the hurricane is already upon you. You must already be grounded. And how do you prepare, you ask? Not by accumulating more stuff, but by courageously releasing it. Not by building thicker outer walls, but by profoundly strengthening your inner core. So many people are running in the same direction, chasing the same things, piling up wealth, collecting relationships like trophies, clawing for status, desperate for recognition. But what's the real, lasting value of any of these things? When the very vibration of this planet begins to rise, what good will your trophies be if your own spirit feels heavy, dense, and unprepared? You cannot outrun spiritual gravity. When the earth ascends, only those with light, clear hearts will rise with it. You must let go of the bitterness, the resentment, the unhealed pain. This is the real preparation. This is the essential cleansing, because when that energetic veil finally lifts, and trust me, it will, everything that's been hidden will become glaringly visible. You can't fake peace. You can't fake discipline. You can't pretend to be aligned. On that day, your energy, your very essence, will speak far louder than any words you could ever utter. The world will react, it always does. It reacts to shocking headlines, it reacts to sudden crises, it reacts to fear. But the spirit doesn't react, the spirit prepares. The spirit understands that true timing isn't dictated by the clock on the wall, but by deep energetic resonance. When spirit said everything changes, it wasn't referring to your Google Calendar, it was referring to your soul's unique timeline. There are seasons in your life that you don't choose, they choose you. And this upcoming season, it's not one for passive dreaming, it's one for decisive doing. It's not for the mind that just idly wishes, it's for the soul that actively moves. You have to ask yourself, right now, am I still making excuses? Am I still waiting for someone else's permission? Am I still arguing with undeniable truth? Because frankly, the time for questioning and debating has passed. The time for committed action is now. This preparation will look different for everyone. For some, it will mean finally, decisively choosing stillness over the constant barrage of external stimulation. For others, it will mean bravely facing the deep pain they've kept buried for years. For some, it's about resolutely cutting cords with people or situations that have been draining their precious energy. For others still, it's about finding the strength to forgive what once seemed absolutely unforgivable. These aren't small, insignificant acts, these are profound revolutions within your own being. These are the very steps that build the kind of resilient inner world that doesn't crumble when the outer world inevitably begins to shift, and believe me, it will shift. Not to scare you, not to break you, but to reveal you. Because all things hidden, all truth suppressed, will eventually rise to the surface. And when that great unveiling happens, you'll clearly see two types of people: those who are utterly terrified by the truth, and those who have diligently trained their in truth. When a seed is planted in the earth, it doesn't cry out for sunlight, it trusts implicitly that its growth is an integral part of a natural cycle. It doesn't resist the soil, it embraces the darkness because it knows deep in its being that the light is inevitably coming. In precisely the same way, your own preparation has likely been happening in quiet, unseen ways. Maybe you haven't been able to quite explain why you've been feeling different. Maybe your habits have been subtly changing without you consciously forcing them. Maybe you've lost all interest in shallow, meaningless conversations. Maybe you've found yourself naturally withdrawing from drama, unnecessary noise, and pointless conflict. This isn't just coincidence, this is genuine spiritual alignment. This is the deeper part of you instinctively responding to the upcoming change. It's as if your soul is already packing its bags for a journey your conscious mind doesn't fully grasp yet, and that's perfectly okay. Let your soul lead the way, let your mind learn to follow. Many will try to cram for this exam at the very last moment. They'll rush to consume spiritual teachings, frantically try to fix deeply ingrained bad habits, scramble to feel safe and secure. But here's the hard truth: you cannot rush alignment. You cannot microwave spiritual mastery. You cannot download genuine discipline. These qualities are forged slowly, deliberately, over time through consistent effort. And if you've already started on this path, even if you feel like you're far from perfect, please understand this: you are ahead of the wave. Keep walking, keep building, keep refining, because the vibrant energy of the new world simply cannot be carried by a self that stubbornly refuses to evolve. This shift isn't interested in who you pretend to be, it is only and profoundly interested in who you truly are, and that truth, your authentic self, is either gloriously free or it is miserably trapped. The preparation at its core is the sacred act of setting it free. Every true warrior sharpens his sword long before any battle, not out of fear, but out of a deep sense of honor and readiness. The spiritual warrior doesn't wait for external signs or crises to get serious about their inner work. They are as always ready, not because they crave conflict, but because genuine peace requires unwavering strength. On June 30th, that delicate balance of inner strength and profound peace will be put to the test. Those who have cultivated no inner peace will be utterly overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of the energy. Those who have developed no inner strength will be paralyzed by the breathtaking speed of change. And so, you must train now. Train your thoughts to hold stillness amidst chaos. Train your emotions to respond with grace under pressure. Train your body to carry discipline with ease. Train your spirit to trust the unseen, the yet to manifest. Let go completely of the illusion that you have endless time. Time is never promised, but conscious presence is always available. And in that focused presence, all things become possible. Your future isn't waiting for you to idly wish for it, it is waiting for you to actively, consciously act it into being. You don't need to be perfect, you only need to be truly present. And from that powerful state of presence, you must build the habits that consistently nourish your energy, build the healthy boundaries that fiercely protect your peace, build the sacred rituals that awaken and expand your awareness. These are the very bricks of the unshakable foundation you will stand on when everything around you begins to shift. And what about those who deliberately ignore the call? What of those who openly mock the whisper? Who casually say, "Nothing's going to happen, it's just another ordinary day"? These, tragically, are the ones who will be most profoundly shocked, not because they weren't warned, but because they stubbornly refused to listen. Denial doesn't shield you from the truth, it only delays your vital preparation. And when truth inevitably arrives, it doesn't politely ask if you're ready, it simply and powerfully shows itself. If you have trained, you will recognize it as a wise teacher. If you have not, you will perceive it as a terrifying threat. This isn't a threat from some external god, it is the direct, unavoidable consequence of your own resistance to growth. So, prepare not in fear, but in deep reverence. Prepare not because some disaster is looming, but because a great awakening is coming. Prepare not for the world's panicked reaction, but for your own soul's magnificent expansion. There's a unique beauty that arrives when you are truly ready. There's an undeniable power that activates when you genuinely align. There's a profound peace that settles deep within you when you finally surrender to the flow. And this peace, this true peace, is not found in the external noise and chaos. It is found in your consistent practice, in your conscious breathing, in your cultivated stillness, in your sacred silence. Do not look to the outer world for signs of safety or security. Real safety isn't out there, it is carefully built within your inner world. It's in how you respond to chaos with calm. It's in how you treat others, especially when no one is watching. It's in the courageous decisions you make when it would be far easier to remain asleep and complacent. Every single step you take today, every conscious choice, builds your capacity to respond to tomorrow's test. Every moment you choose to rise in discipline prepares you to rise in energy. Every time you say a firm no to what drains you, you are saying a powerful yes to what prepares you. There are fundamentally two ways to meet June 30th: with stunned surprise or with quiet certainty. The first path leads inevitably to confusion and turmoil, the second leads to clarity and empowerment. And that clarity doesn't come from trying to guess the future, it comes from diligently preparing your present moment awareness. The energy of that specific day is already approaching. The current is palpably building. You may not see it with your physical eyes, but your spirit, if you listen, can definitely feel it. Honor that feeling. Don't numb it with distractions. Don't try to rationalize it away. Let it lead you to your personal training ground. Let it pull you deeper into your dedicated practice. Let it be a constant reminder: what you do in silence, the inner work you undertake when no one is watching, is never wasted. It is stored, it is remembered, it is multiplied. And when the world around you begins to shake, you will not, because you weren't waiting for the world to tell you what was coming. You had already begun your preparation. You weren't just reacting, you were profoundly ready. You weren't desperately seeking safety, you were already standing firmly within it. There's a massive misunderstanding in our modern world about how real, lasting transformation actually happens. So many people believe that just their wanting change is enough, that setting intentions is the magic bullet, that declaring goals, writing them down religiously, repeating affirmations like a mantra, that all of this somehow obligates the universe to bend to their will. But here's the unvarnished truth: the sacred laws of the cosmos don't bow to mere intention. They bow respectfully to genuine alignment. Energy doesn't follow what you wish for, it follows who you fundamentally are. When Spirit, God, the universe, whatever name you use, whispered that everything changes on June 30th, 2025, it wasn't a message for those who are merely hoping and wishing. It was a clear signal to those who have actively, consciously aligned themselves with truth. In their deepest thoughts, in their spoken words, and in their daily actions. The critical mistake so many make is assuming that having a clear desire somehow equals being in a state of readiness. But the universe, the divine intelligence, the Tao, it doesn't listen to your surface-level wishes, it tunes into the actual vibration you consistently carry. You can say you want peace, yet live a life steeped in internal and external chaos. You can profess a desire for abundance, yet walk through your days wrapped in a blanket of fear and scarcity. You can talk about wanting transformation, but then stubbornly refuse the discipline required to achieve it. This is the fundamental disconnection. This is precisely why that divine whisper is only truly received by those whose daily habits, inner dialogues, and unspoken, deeply held intentions are all harmonized into one coherent frequency. That clear frequency isn't found in mere positive thinking alone, it is discovered, cultivated, and lived through authentic alignment. Alignment isn't about pretending. It's not about trying to act spiritual. It's certainly not about the external rituals you perform for others to see and admire. True alignment is often invisible to the outside world, but is absolutely, undeniably palpable to the universe. You cannot trick energy, you cannot fake resonance. You either vibrate at the level of authentic truth or you don't. And when that energetic portal, that significant gateway, opens on June 30th, 2025, it won't care one bit what you intended to become. It will only and powerfully amplify what you already are. That is the great unshakable spiritual truth. Energy amplifies alignment, not just words or wishes. Your personal energy field will be the key. The genuine quality of your inner life will be the ultimate measure. This is why true preparation isn't about talking more or louder. It's about becoming more authentically. If you say you want peace but you continually choose conflict in your thoughts or actions, you are fundamentally misaligned. If you declare you are ready for abundance but you live in a mindset of lack and scarcity, you are misaligned. If you call yourself a light worker but you consistently engage in gossip, complaining, and holding on to resentment, you are misaligned. These are not trivial matters, these are significant spiritual fractures. And when a flood of divine energy pours onto the planet, it naturally seeks coherence. It inherently rewards those who are whole, who are integrated. It elevates those who are deeply honest, not necessarily perfect, but radically honest with themselves and their journey. The world often celebrates the loud, the outwardly ambitious, the perfectly polished. But the divine, the true spiritual current, lifts up the sincere, the genuinely aligned, the quietly, consistently disciplined. There's a sacred equation at work here, and it's this: your thoughts, plus your words, plus your actions, equal your overall vibration. If your thoughts say, "I trust the universe," but your words are riddled with doubt, and your actions are hesitant and fearful, your resulting vibration is one of confusion. If your thoughts declare, "I am ready for this shift," but your words are defensive and your actions are impulsive and reactive, your vibration is one of dissonance. And no matter how often you repeat your positive intentions, no matter how beautifully you write them down on fancy paper, if your very being is fractured and incoherent, your energy will remain stubbornly out of tune with the incoming powerful shift. And when an energy field doesn't match the prevailing current, it gets left behind, or at best, tossed about. The planet isn't just changing intellectually or politically, it is fundamentally rising vibrationally. The changes that are coming are not designed to favor the merely clever or the well-informed. They will unequivocally favor the genuinely aligned. This is why so many people who seem perfectly prepared on the outside, who have all the right credentials and appearances, will find themselves unexpectedly overwhelmed, while those who have quietly, diligently done the deep inner work will rise with an astonishing grace and ease. There is a certain speed, a certain intensity, to spiritual energy that only a still-centered heart can truly hold. There is a frequency so high, so pure, that only the truly humble can accurately tune into it. And on June 30th, when this universal frequency intensifies, your personal level of alignment will not be something you can suddenly edit, control, or fake. It will be starkly, undeniably revealed. Many will experience this as an intense pressure. They will feel uncomfortably exposed, because when the vibration of pure truth rises, anything false, anything inauthentic, is forcibly, inevitably brought to the surface. This is the divine test, the great sorting, and it is not based on your outward performance but on your inner purity. It will not ask how many spiritual books you read. It will ask, did you actually apply what you learned? It will not ask how many followers you gained on social media. It will ask, how many times did you stay unwaveringly loyal to your truth when absolutely no one was watching? It will not ask how loud your voice was in proclaiming your beliefs. It will ask, how truly still and quiet was your mind? Alignment is quiet, almost invisible in its cultivation, but its effects are absolutely seismic. There are three foundational pillars that build true, unshakable alignment: integrity, discipline, and surrender. Integrity means you live in accordance with your deepest truth, even when it costs you comfort, popularity, or convenience. You say no to what betrays your soul, even if saying ayes would please others. You keep your word, not just to other people, but, crucially, to yourself. Discipline means you consistently do what needs to be done for your growth, not just what feels good or easy in the moment. You rise early to meditate when your body screams for more sleep. You consciously breathe through rising anger instead of explosively reacting. You train your emotions, your focus, and your energy on a daily, dedicated basis. And surrender means you consciously release the illusion of control, not out of weakness, but out of profound trust in a higher wisdom. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes. You stop forcing your personal timing on the universe. You align with the divine flow and walk with it, even and especially when it doesn't make logical sense to your rational mind. Most people try to force energy. They attempt to hustle and grind their way into higher states of being. But force always, inevitably, creates friction and resistance. Flow, on the other hand, creates harmony and ease. You must learn to become the open, clear space through which divine energy can flow freely and powerfully. You must actively remove the blockages, the ego's demands, the paralyzing fears, the bitter resentments, the toxic comparisons, the gnawing impatience. These things constrict your vibration, they choke your energy field. And when the fundamental frequency of the world shifts upwards, constricted, heavy energy simply collapses under the pressure. But when you are in true alignment, you are like a perfectly tuned flute, hollow of ego, pure in your intention, and exquisitely ready to be played by the very breath of the divine. There is a sacred, perfect timing unfolding across the cosmos and within each of us. And just like a tree doesn't decide when to bloom, but naturally flowers in its designated season, so too does the soul have its seasons of blossoming. But you cannot rush your blooming. You must diligently, patiently water your roots. Your roots are your daily discipline. Your roots are your moments of profound silence. Your roots are the countless small choices you make in the unseen, quiet moments of your life. What you do when no one is watching, how you manage your inner world when there's no audience, fundamentally determines your readiness for when everyone is watching, when the spotlight of change is upon you. And on June 30th, the light will not only shine on the earth, it will shine through you, revealing your inner state, or it will expose your unpreparedness. There will be no comfortable middle ground. Energy, pure divine energy, does not tolerate half-truths or inconsistencies. It either flows powerfully through clarity and coherence, or it comes to a dead stop at distortion and misalignment. That is why this very moment, this precious now, is your ultimate training ground. Not tomorrow, not when you finally feel ready, now. Because the spiritual law is elegantly simple: you will rise to the level of your genuine alignment, not merely your desires or intentions. You will receive according to your diligent preparation, not just your eloquent declarations. And you will be tested, ultimately, not by what you say you believe, but by who you have truly, authentically become. You must ask yourself with piercing honesty, have I actually become the kind of person who can capably carry this next level of truth, this expanded power, this greater responsibility? Or am I still just hoping that the external world will magically change while I stubbornly remain the same? You are not waiting for some external energy to arrive. That energy, that divine current is waiting for you. It has always been flowing. The real question is, can you hold it? Are you a worthy, clear container, or are you still unconsciously leaking your precious power through unexamined habits, scattered attention, and knee-jerk emotional reactivity? Your capacity to hold and channel energy is the true measure of your spiritual maturity, and spiritual maturity has nothing to do with chronological age. It is all about awareness, about radical accountability, about choosing evolution over ego, again and again and again, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. On June 30th, the divine pulse, the heartbeat of the universe, will intensify. Some will rise effortlessly, gracefully, because their internal structure, their spiritual foundation is strong and true. Others will shake, perhaps even crumble, because their foundation was built on illusion, on shifting sands. You must build your inner temple now, not with bricks and mortar, but with conscious breath, not with abstract theories, but with consistent, grounded actions. You must diligently clean the windows of your mind until they are crystal clear. You must thoroughly sweep the floors of your soul, clearing out all the old debris. You must courageously open the doors of your heart to allow the pure light to flood in. Because energy, sacred, divine, and intensely real, does not and cannot enter into chaos. It enters into order, not the rigid order of tight control, but the flowing, harmonious order of true alignment. This alignment requires uncompromising honesty, a brutal, yet deeply loving honesty with yourself. You must look at your life, your habits, your relationships, your inner world, and ask, where am I still out of tune with truth? Where am I still pretending, wearing a mask? Where am I still choosing fleeting comfort over essential growth? The answers will not always be pleasant to hear, but they hold the power to set you profoundly free. You cannot heal what you consistently deny. You cannot align with what you stubbornly refuse to face. But when you do, when you finally see yourself clearly, without judgment but with deep self-compassion, and love yourself deeply enough to make the necessary changes, the entire universe subtly, powerfully shifts in your favor. Not because it is arbitrarily rewarding you, but because you have finally, authentically become resonant with its fundamental rhythm. And this is the final, crucial key. Alignment is not some static state you achieve once and for all. It is something you consciously, actively return to again and again and again. Each moment is a fresh chance to return. Each breath is a doorway back to presence, back to center. Each choice is an opportunity to tune yourself like a sacred instrument. And just like a finely crafted stringed instrument, you don't tune it once and then forget about it. You must tune it daily, with meticulous care, with focused attention, with heightened awareness. Because the music you play, the very life you live, depends entirely on your tuning. When that sacred day, June 30th, arrives, the world will not change you, it will reveal you. The flood of heightened energy will not create your alignment, it will magnify it, for better or worse. And so, the most important, most powerful work you can possibly do is not to hope, not to fear, but to align, not in theory but in daily practice, not for applause, but for the sake of truth, not to impress anyone, but to authentically express your deepest self. Not out of fear of some imagined future, but out of profound reverence for the power of the present moment. Because in the end, when the storms of change truly hit, it will not be your lofty goals or your well-articulated intentions that carry you through. It will be your groundedness. It will be your cultivated silence. It will be your unwavering alignment.